In this video, we take a look at the terrible legacies left by some of history's most infamous dictators and leaders, whose actions led to great pain and loss of life. We discuss Adolf Hitler's involvement in starting World War II and the Holocaust, Joseph Stalin's harsh purges in the Soviet Union, and Mao Zedong's harmful policies in China. These leaders made a lasting impact on the world that will never be forgotten. Come along as we examine the lives and awful times of these figures, who changed history through violence, fear, and oppression. 1. Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was the leader of Nazi Germany from 1933 until 1949. He started World War II and was a key figure in the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews and millions of others, like Roma, disabled people, and political rivals, were killed. His ideas about extreme nationalism, hatred of Jews, and belief in Aryan superiority resulted in the deaths of tens of millions during the war. When he invaded Poland in 1939, it marked the beginning of World War II, which caused massive destruction in Europe and changed history forever. Hitler's rule ended when he took his own life as Soviet troops approached Berlin. 2. Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin was the head of the Soviet Union from the mid-1920s until he died in 1953. His rule was known for being very harsh, with many purges, mass killings, forced labor camps called gulags, and widespread hunger. During the Great Purge in the late 1930s, hundreds of thousands of people who were seen as threats were executed. His policies, like collectivization and the forced famine in Ukraine, known as Holodomor, led to the deaths of millions. Stalin's time in power was filled with fear, where even a small complaint could result in imprisonment or death. Although he was important in defeating Nazi Germany, his actions caused a lot of pain and loss in the Soviet Union. 3. Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong was the leader who started the People's Republic of China and was in charge from 1949 until he passed away in 1976. His political ideas, like the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, caused a lot of pain and loss of life. The Great Leap Forward aimed to quickly make China more industrialized, but ended up causing a terrible famine that killed around 30 million people. The Cultural Revolution went after intellectuals and anyone who was seen as a threat to Mao's beliefs, leading to a lot of suffering, torture, and death. Mao's time in power showed a lack of care for human life as he chased his political dreams. 4. Chungis Khan. Chungis Khan, originally named Temujin, brought together the Mongol tribes and started the Mongol Empire, which became the biggest empire ever. He was famous for his military skills and led his empire through fierce battles across Asia and Europe. His campaigns were known for extreme violence, with whole cities being destroyed. It's believed that Chungis Khan's wars led to the deaths of about 40 million people. He used tactics like spreading fear among his enemies and committing terrible acts against civilians. Even with all the destruction, Chungis Khan is also recognized for uniting the Mongols and encouraging trade and communication throughout his empire. 5. Pol Pot. Pol Pot was the head of the Khmer Rouge and served as the Prime Minister of Cambodia from 1975 to 1979. During his time in power, Cambodia experienced one of the worst genocides in the 20th century. The Khmer Rouge aimed to create a perfect farming society by forcing people from cities to work in rural labor camps. Millions suffered from hunger, hard labor, and were killed. It is estimated that Pol Pot's regime was responsible for the deaths of about 1.7 million people, which was nearly a quarter of the country's population. Many educated people, professionals, ethnic minorities, and anyone thought to be disloyal were brutally murdered in what became known as the killing fields. 6. Ivan the Terrible. Ivan IV, often called Ivan the Terrible, was the first Tsar of Russia. His rule lasted from 1547 to 1584 and was filled with violence, fear, and a strong desire for total control. Ivan established a harsh police force called the Oprichnina to get rid of those he saw as threats. His time in power is infamous for the destruction of entire towns, like the brutal attack on Novgorod in 1570. Thousands of nobles and regular people were executed during his reign of terror, which also led to the breakdown of Russia's social order and caused great suffering across his empire. 9. Hirohito served as the Emperor of Japan from 1926 until 1989. During World War II, he was mostly a symbolic leader, but his reign coincided with Japan's aggressive expansion in Asia. Under his rule, Japan committed terrible acts, such as the Nanking Massacre, where countless Chinese civilians suffered and lost their lives. Although Hirohito didn't directly plan military actions, his position and lack of action against the military's brutalities make him a debated figure. After Japan surrendered in 1945, he was allowed to stay as emperor, but his power was reduced by the new constitution that followed the war. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more content like this. Thanks for watching.